Good evening and welcome to Wembley. During what has been a pretty cold week, we've been kept warm for the most part by some terrific action at the PokerStars.com Masters. And by the close of play this evening, we'll know the identity of the fourth semi-finalist and the man who'll be joining these three in the last four. Despite his self-deprecating style off the base, the Rocket has looked smart on it, and after an early stutter, it's been plain sailing to the semis. Former world champion Mark Williams is this week's Renaissance man. He seems to have rediscovered his best form and has his eyes on winning this title for the first time since 2003. The world number 2 Steve Maguire has not been in his best form, yet he's still been too good for Mark King and Ryan Day, and he awaits the winner of tonight's clash. That is a potential cracker between the 2008 Masters champion Mark Selby, who in 3 appearances at this tournament has lost just once, and that was in the final against Ronnie 12 months ago. Against him is Mark Allen, the youngest player left in the tournament on just his 2nd appearance at the Masters, but who put out none other than the world champion John Higgins in the last round. Now these two have met just once before. It was in this tournament at the same stage last year, and it went down to a final frame decider. Let's hope for something similar.
In practice I've been playing well, it's just that this year I've not really managed to take it out on the practice table. I've had some tough draws in the early stages of the tournaments, which nowadays you get no easy draw, so it's very tough at the moment, but my game's in good shape. I just need to take my practice game to the match table a lot more.
Someone asked me what do I need to improve on most, and I said consistency was the thing, and again this year I haven't seemed to find it, so I'm running out of years because I'm getting on a bit. I'm 23 now, so I need to find this consistency somewhere because the shelf life of snooker players isn't that long, so I need to find something quick. I played Mark last year and we had a really good game. I think there was 5 centuries in the match and he beat me 6-5, so hopefully I can pull on those memories. Obviously not the defeat, but the performance. I seem to sort of be one that I play well on the big stage as well, so hopefully we can go out there and play the way we can and give the crowd a good show.
It's going to be a tough match and obviously looking forward to it. I mean, great venue and got great memories here. I played him last year I think in the quarter-final and it was a great game, and I suppose it's going to be a great game again.
Well, I've been joined backstage by Ken Doherty, MOS. Don't worry, Ken, it's Master of Snooker. Ken,
getting worried, eh?
These two guys standing behind you are two of the brightest young stars in snooker. We expect something pretty exciting tonight.
Yes, I think so. I think the interesting thing about this match is the contrasting styles, and I hope they don't mind me saying this, but, you know, one is very fast, one goes about his business a more sort of conservative type of way, if I may say so. I won't say which is which.
I won't tell you the face.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. But no, it's a very interesting. These are the future of the game, and the both of them are looking for something from this season. It hasn't really kick-started for both of them yet, and I'm sure by their own admission they will agree. But I think, you know, this tournament could be the springboard for both of these players for the rest of the season. So it's going to be an interesting game.
Okay, well, we don't want to keep them waiting any longer, so let's join Rob Walker to welcome the players out into the arena.
Thanks, guys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night. We're in Wembley Arena, and this is the last quarter-final of the 2010 PokerStars.com Masters. What a match we have in prospect for you now. It's a rerun of a quarter-final last year that ended in a 6-5 thriller. Are we in for the same? It's time to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the boys on the base! Please welcome one of the most exciting young players in the modern game, making his 2nd successive quarter-final appearance here in the Masters. He's appeared in 3 ranking event semi-finals, including last year's World Championship. He's the pride of Northern Ireland. He's the pistol. He's Mark Allen. And his opponent, one of the most colourful characters on the circuit. He beat UK champion Ding Junhui in round 1, bidding for a third successive Masters semi-final. The 2008 Welsh Open and Masters champion, the jester from Leicester, Mark Selby.
What an atmosphere inside the Wembley Arena this evening. Now, it's probably fair to say that the future of snooker belongs in the hands of players such as Mark Selby and Mark Allen. So let's take a glimpse into what lies ahead. Our commentators this evening are Dennis Taylor and John Virgo. Good evening, guys.
A very good evening, Rishi, and terrific atmosphere, as you said, in the Wembley Arena this evening.
Thank you. First frame, Mark Selby to break.
So it's the jester from Leicester who gets this first frame underway. This should be a cracking match. And nice to see Michaela with us here. She's been off all week. Her dear old nan passed away, 95, and was having a chat with Michaela, and she won't be doing the final. She was down to do the final. She'll be heading back home again for the funeral. And while we're on that subject, Mark Allen, a lot of inspiration for him. He's playing for his good friend who passed away suddenly, Willie Lucas from Antrim, who played in the same pool team at the club that Mark practices in. And we seen it after his first match. He said it's for the glove, that was his nickname, so he'll be looking to do well for all Willie's friends and family.
Well, that was an attempt at a double there from Mark Selby, a little bit risky for me. There is a red to the left middle, and we know what an attacking player Mark Allen is. That's the red I'm thinking of. I don't know whether well, he's not taking it on, probably because it's the first frame. Very dangerous player is Mark Allen. But as he's rightly said in his interviews prior to this, he just hasn't been showing that level of consistency that you need to be at the business end of tournaments.
He's dropped a few places in the provisional ranking list, down to provisional number 15. He's currently world number 11, but of course there's no ranking points available here in the Masters, but it's the one major tournament that every player likes to have on their CV. And if you can beat the defending or the current world champion, as he did in beating John Higgins in his previous round, no reason why he can't win the tournament. He's looking at the possibility of a 1, 2, 3. This is a 5-ball plant with a bit of safety in mind also. Well, as you can see, with the cue ball tight on the cushion, he didn't really fancy that plant. Not often you see a 5-ball plant attempted. Bit of an awkward frame now with the reds up the other end of the table.
Well, you say that, Dennis. I don't know, that's a little bit careless there from Mark Selby. I think this red is possible. I think if he was right-handed, I'd fancy him getting it. Careless to leave a chance of this. He may not be able to play it with the ordinary rest. He may need the spider. Well, he thinks he can. And it's there, so that was very careless that from Mark Selby. Just trickling into the reds. Sucker punch that was.
Absolutely, John. You should never leave a pot on from that situation. I think he wanted to hit that red a little bit thicker. But this is certainly a chance for young Mark Allen. I say young Mark Allen. I was listening to his interview this afternoon. He said he's going to have to start winning a tournament soon because he's getting on a bit, John. 23 years of age. Alex Higgins and myself were that age when we turned professional.
Nine.
It looked as if he played to leave the blue in the middle pocket. He's going to have to take it up in the corner now. The reds are just a little bit of a distraction for him that he's bridging over. But it's great to have another young star in the world of snooker from Northern Ireland. And he's been the
14.
best player from that part of the world for quite a number of years.
15.
Joe Swale still playing, of course. Patrick Wallace was back playing. But this fella is a little bit special. I like watching him play. Very aggressive.
Yeah, I think he's a type of player, a very dangerous player. If he's on his game, I don't think there's any player in the world he can't beat. As you say, the last round he beat John Higgins. And of course he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in last season's World Championship.
21.
Not quite right on this blue. Just got to be careful. It's that red to the right of the brown that he's got to avoid. There looks enough gap between that red and the green. But he should have been better on the blue than this. I don't expect him to miss it, but it's all about position. Oh, he's playing the pink. This is a lot more difficult.
Mark Allen, 21.
It was a lot more difficult, and he's been very fortunate indeed. Just off camera, Mark Selby went to hit him over the head with a cue there. Nice to see both players having a smile there, but it's something. Some of the old players used to do that as well. Behind the back, you'd pretend you were going to tap them on the head with the cue. We're back with the situation where this cushion behind the black is the safety area. As he left a tempter, he didn't mean to come as far across the table. There's a couple of possible reds, risky. But he may have to take it on, and if he knocks it in, look how the table's situated. Little bunch of four to the left of the pink. I don't know if one of them pots in the middle pocket or not. The one just away from them does, but all a bit risky. That's why he's taking his time over the shot. May have to take it on though, John.
Yeah, he's given it plenty of thought. It looks to be the shot to play, but Of the two players, Mark Selby is the one that could have a game plan. And the game plan is not to push the boat out too much and try and keep it tight and frustrate Mark Allen. And he's not taking the pot on. Not bad.
He was hoping to hit that red that he played and knock it onto the reds up the other end of the table, and he would have had a snooker. That's the red that can back up the table. And it's advantage to Mark Allen now. He's got the snooker. But this was the shot. He was trying to use the yellow or a red to stop that red, and if he had it done, look where he got the cue ball, he would have had the snooker. What a shot that was, by the way, John. It looked a simple little escape, but if he hits the side of the reds, he leaves the other red on. Couldn't have played that any better.
As you say, if he hit that red full ball, he'd have left the red on, but judged it to perfection. I don't think Mark Allen's judged this to perfection. That is a careless shot. He's left a simple red over the right middle. And that is so careless, and the way the balls are situated, it could be very costly.
I'm just wondering if he can avoid the cannon onto the green. It looks sort of a natural. The white will head towards the green when he cuts this in. That's why he's trying to drop it in dead weight. And that was well played.
One. Five. Six.
As Rishi mentioned at the top of the show,
10.
Mark has played in the Masters 3 times. He's only lost one match. That was a terrific final to Ronnie O'Sullivan last year. 10-8 he lost that, but the year before he beat Stephen Lee in the final 10-3. So he likes this venue.
Eleven. 17. Eighteen.
That's beautifully played. He'll leave all 3 reds that are next to the yellow available.
$20. Mark Selby, 20.
What a mistake that was. I can can only assume he just took his eye off the pot, wondering about the cannon on the second red. But that's unforgivable. And that, well, not saying it would cost him the frame because there's a few awkward reds, but he certainly lost the opportunity to win it at that visit.
He seemed to jerk a little bit at that with his cue action. He's usually very smooth, but backhand seemed to just... Let's just have a look at the backhand when he delivers the cue. Just cross it slightly.
One. Five.
Well, he's getting down very quick. I was wondering whether he'd come far enough here. Obviously had, but he couldn't
Six.
hold the cue ball, and I don't think the green's potable, is it? And if he's not able to pot the green, he's not good on this yellow. Green obviously doesn't go. Tricky shot on the yellow now he's got to play. The only pocket he can play it is in this middle one.
And we know they're quite tight, the middle pockets. So you've got to be absolutely spot on. Oh, that's right in the center of the pocket, if it reaches. If it reaches.
Mark Allen, 6.
He was trying to hold for the red there and just underhit that. Just quit a little bit on the shot and delivering the cue through. So this opening frame, a few mistakes, which is quite understandable. Big match for both these players, as Ken Doherty was saying. This could kick-start their season.
Five. Six.
Playing for this red along the baulk cushion. Normally this would be difficult because you have to play it with a bit of pace, but as you can see he's only got to drop it in dead weight, and he's got the yellow waiting over the middle. Oh, and even then
Mark Selby, 9.
it was missable. So a nervy start from both players.
One.
Now, being a left-hander, the red up to the left of the blacks, not badly placed for Mark Allen. The other one's much more difficult. You play up for the one up the other end of the table here. And it's all about getting a good angle now to try and get himself down to that difficult red.
5. Six.
Has he got an angle on the pink to screw back in behind the red? He has. He could finish about 12 inches from that last red. He would have a chance. Tricky one though, John, isn't it?
Yeah, let me be a little bit disappointed there. As you say, had the perfect angle on the pink to get closer to this red. He doesn't have to do anything with the cue ball, just pop the red. The yellow's there. But you've got to be so accurate. The slower you play it, more chance of it going in. Well, it looks like the last chance is going to go to Mark Selby. And now Mark Selby comes to the table 10 points behind, but a big, big favourite to win this first frame.
Yeah, I like you, thought he was just going to roll the red in because the yellow was over the pocket, but he wanted to get himself away from the cushion, and that was the result of the miss.
One.
You'd have to say this is the only tricky part of the clearance here, and it shouldn't be all that difficult to get back on the green. He's left it short, so he did make a bit of a mess of that.
Yeah, that was the problem though, Dennis, as you say, because as soon as he hit the yellow, he was hitting the cushion, and it was always going to check. But he could have hit the yellow a lot thinner than that. This green is missable.
Mark Selby, 7.
Well,
I'm not sure what Mark said. Mark 1 said to Mark 2 something there.
I think he said we could do with starting again, but I'll be honest with you, if I was Mark Allen, I wouldn't so much to be starting again. He's now become favourite for the frame. All you got to do is get on the brown. Position on the brown,
3.
And he's a good thing to win the frame. He's overhit it slightly. Wants the brown and the blue.
He's missed it. It's amazing
Mark Allen,
how edgy both players are. Smiles all around. I think isn't that nice to see? Let's toss a coin and the crowd have certainly enjoyed that. That was lovely to see that between the two players.
Yeah, Mark Allen said toss a coin. I assume Mark Selby won it because he wanted to.
These are your favourites.
Now then, this is good. It relaxes players when they can. I've always said one of the hardest things when you're out there in the heat of it, Dennis, is to enjoy it. So at least these players are enjoying it. I won't be enjoying the balls he've missed at the moment. This brown is difficult. Where's the cue ball? No, it's not gone in, so... Well, I wouldn't like to say it's whoever pots the brown, the balls that have been missed in this shaky first frame for both of them.
It's okay. In fact, it's probably better hitting the knuckle of the pocket there, otherwise he might have left a possible pot on. It's a bit too pacey. Could do with it dropping in behind the pink. Well, he's got it behind the blue, but he wasn't intending for the cue ball to come that far back up the table. Needs a bit of luck here. And I don't think he's had it. This brown will cut in. The only thing, the white will be flying up and down the table. I'm not sure if he can just hold it the once. That's the angle. Looks pretty good to me. Needs to just go the other side of the blue. Absolutely perfect.
Nine.
No breaks in the opening frame. It was a comedy of errors, you'd have to say, but a very enjoyable and entertaining opening frame. And it's Mark Selby who takes it. He leads 1-0.
Well, we build these matches up all the time, and then that happens. What happened there?
Don't ask me, I don't know. I mean, they were throwing it at each other, but it was nice to see the two guys enjoying it and having a laugh, and you know, the toss of the coin, say let's start again or let's just toss for it, you know, because both players couldn't win the frame here, and they kept throwing, and that was really nice to see. And particularly in a tournament like this, because there is a lot of pressure out there, believe it or not, and it's a big match for both players. This is a big tournament, but it's nice to see that guys like these can enjoy it and have a laugh, and the crowd are loving it as well, and it's a good start in a way, you know.
But once the laughter goes away now, after a turgid start so far, really, and so littered with so many mistakes, Mark Selby must feel that was a great bonus.
Yeah, it is a great bonus. Well, you know, he's off and up and running, and unless Mark gets it the next frame, you know, the pressure will build on him. So it's an important frame for Mark Allen, this next one, just to settle down into the match, get a frame on the board. And as John Virgo always says, you never settle until you win your first frame, and it's very true. Never a true word spoken.
And have you had many experiences like that where you come out and it's been a big build-up, lots of noise in the crowd, and you just can't get started?
Well, I've never had you build me up, that's for sure.
You won't.
But yeah, it can sometimes happen. This is sport, you know, and it's sometimes we can build them up, and sometimes the first frame may fall a little flat. But I'm sure it's going to get better. It's not going to be like this for the rest of the game.
Do you think that was Ken Doherty trying to do a Salford impression there? You never settle until you when you've put your first frame on the board.
Potter's Club, wasn't it, in Salford, where we used to go and play? Well, you played there all the time, John, didn't you?
Yeah, with my good friend Jeff Lomas, he ran the club. Well, he went all out for that, but he missed it by so far. And a nice easy starter for Mark Allen. The only downside to this opportunity is we once again see this and just got it all wrong, really. But where it's not a great chance is the pink and black are tied up. So this is one of these instances where sooner rather than later you'd be looking to maybe play a cannon onto the cluster or get in on one of those reds just above the black to try and bring the black into play. You can get the black available into both corners, you've half a chance of making a sizable contribution.
6. 7.
He might just attempt that here to get on those two reds you mentioned, John, and if he can get the white into the right position, he could do what you suggested. Let's just see where he finishes with the cue ball here. It's going to be difficult to do it from that side of the table. He had to be over the other side of the table to pot a red and cannon the red away from next to the black. That definitely wasn't the best positional shot that Mark's ever played. So the more difficult pot will get him back up towards the blue. He's such a good potter, this young player.
13.
Now if he comes down and leaves himself the right angle this time, somewhere near the circle, he'd be on that red behind the bunch and he could cannon the red away from the black then. Well, he's decided to go into them. He had a good angle. And he's a bit unfortunate. At first glance, he hasn't dropped on a red. Definitely a bit unlucky there. There is a gap around the back of the black and reds if he wants to take this pot on.
Well, of course, there is the brave shot, isn't there, Dennis? Pot this red and try and cannon that red that's to the left of the black. But I think to be guaranteed to be on a colour, if you pot the red, you're better off playing it firm, but you never know. It depends how he sees it. He may think it's perfect to cannon that red. Well, it didn't matter. He missed the pot.
Mark Allen, 18. One.
I think the pink's going to be okay when it goes back on its spot. It'll still be available into the left corner. Black's out of commission at the moment. But it could turn out to be quite a good opportunity here.
Seven.
He keeps much stiller now on the shot mark. He's obviously been working on that. But mind you, when he was at the top of his form a couple of seasons ago, his head was moving around quite a bit, but it didn't affect his play. But it's a thing that a player works on, you know, trying to keep your head as still as possible.
Thirteen. 14.
Those two reds that are near the pink are
20.
a little bit awkward, so can't really do anything about those at present.
21.
Well, he played for a choice of reds. I think he was maybe looking for the one into the left corner. He's slightly hampered. Shouldn't cause a problem. He's got pink or blue to play for.
Big advantage being able to sit like that on the table. He's about 6'3", and he's very slim as well. Couldn't see you, myself, or Willie Thorne doing that, JV.
It'd be a sort of half lotus, that, wouldn't it? I'd have a job getting in a proper one.
33. $34.
Hawkeye just showing you that he's almost dead straight on the blue. But of course, he's got very little to do with it, with the red to the left side of the table.
Well, that's an interesting choice of shot. He must be very confident using the rest. I thought he'd have just screwed back, if anything, an inch or two and left this red, but he's done run through to leave this red straight, so all he has to do is pot it to be on the pink, but missable with the rest, these. But right in the heart of the pocket, good shot. .28 points to lead now. So he can win this. He doesn't need the red that's just to the left of the black.
46.
So these three reds in the open and pinks would be enough
47.
to put him in the snooker's required stage.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things about the game of snooker is when you scatter the balls all over the table, as Mark Allen did, and then you don't drop on a ball. You've got to sit there and watch your opponent clear them up.
54.
And he looks to be cueing well now. So after that opening frame, which was littered with mistakes, this is much better from the man from Leicester.
$60.
42 points to lead. This to go 43 points in front with just 43 left.
61.
But the pink will mean that Mark Allen will need two snookers.
That makes absolutely sure, but he's ran too far, so it's going to be difficult to try and compile a century from this position.
Mark Selby, 67.
Well, I think he's disappointed he didn't pot that, because if he'd have potted that, there's no way Mark Allen would have been coming back to the table. It's still a big ask. There you see it, 49 ahead is Mark Selby, 43 remaining, 2 4-point snookers required. And of course, I suppose at some time he'll clear that red away from the black. Mark Allen, first opportunity he gets.
I suppose if Mark did get a chance to pot a red and a pink, then he would be certain to get a snooker in behind the black. So Mark Selby can't push the red over the pocket. He may be able to have a go at this and try and get himself onto the pink, but can he get past the blue? That was his intention there. Red, pink, and then try and get nicely on this red to leave the snooker behind the black. But even if he had potted the red, he hadn't a good angle on the pink to do that. So. Those colours are nicely placed to get snookers behind.
Yeah, he's had a walk around the table here, Mark Selby. I don't know why. I mean, if he pots this red, it's frame over. He can clearly get through to it. So if he pots this, as I say, I don't know why he's hesitating. That's it. So that's frame 2 in the bag.
1.
Well, more of an exhibition shot than anything else, but he knew the frame was over. There was a few mistakes in the first frame, but not many in that one, and it went the same way as the first, to the jester from Leicester. He leads 2-0.
mainly Fools and Horses. It's a great comedy show and I could just sit and watch it for hours and hours. Big Brother, every time that comes on the TV I just absolutely hate it. Just drink Budweiser or Corona. I mean, I'm not really a shot person and go out and get absolutely hammered. Any kind of shot, I suppose. Everybody loves to play Ronnie because you're going to get big crowds, and that's what we play snooker for, to get the buzz. People like Stephen Hendry, I suppose, at his best, and O'Sullivan at his best when they are playing well. Everywhere I go, I like to be in the sun. Rain or snow, I suppose, yeah. I like fish, all kinds of fish, so probably, I don't know, probably sitting on the beach in Hawaii eating fish, I suppose. Something like Wichita grub, what they eat in the celebrity jungle.
Frame 3, Mark Selby to break.
Doesn't like eating grubs, huh? Jimmy didn't have to eat any in the jungle. He got away with that, John, didn't he? Did so well, but he didn't have to eat any of those horrible things.
No, he did well. He told me, apparently, if you say you like them, they don't ask you to eat them. I didn't believe him, but it was true. I don't think you want to get on a donkey again, though, crossing a stream, do you?
Yes, he certainly didn't look like John Wayne or Roy Rogers, did he, on that? Was it a donkey or a horse? It was a horse, wasn't it?
It looked like something. I'm not quite certain what. I was too busy looking at the jockey. Well, the two-cushion escape played well, and but for the flick on the blue, it'd have been even better. But this red is on, and the black, if you get in a certain position, is available. So this will tempt Mark Selby.
Absolutely brilliant. It was delicate to try and get on the black, but with that cannon, he couldn't have played that any better. That was a little beauty he pulled out there. And there's quite a good chance here, because after his next red, on potting the black, he can just nudge the other red away.
8.
That will really open things up. Now you
9.
see, it just needs a little nudge on this red. There'll be a chance for a sizable break. Neither of these players have made a century this year at the Masters. In fact, there's only been 11 centuries up to now, and at the same stage last
16.
year, 23 centuries. So what does that tell you? It tells you that these pockets are pretty tight.
17.
I think they're good, John. I think the tables are playing beautifully. But the players are having to be spot on when potting them along the cushions.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also when the pocket's that little bit nippier that
24.
it benefits good cue ball control. There's a reward for having good control of the cue ball. Just having that cue ball clean, he got a slightly heavy contact, but it hasn't really knocked him out of position. He's got a nice angle on this red just to drop it in for the black.
25.
Could have played that better.
32.
I think he was just trying to force an angle slightly, but he wanted to be closer to this red. Potted it, but couldn't get the right side of the blue, so a little bit of work to do now with the cue ball. First thing is pot the blue and avoid a kiss on the yellow.
A wee bit closer to the cushion than he intended, but he can still get through to this. And if he can drop this red in and get an angle on the black, he can pot the black and open the bunch of reds up, because there's a red either side. There's a little bit of insurance. So this is a key shot coming up if he can get nicely on the black.
Yeah, it just shows you by avoiding the yellow, he went very close to the cushion, and I've got to be honest with you, he's done very well to land here, really.
$39.
I think he has the angle as well, John.
Yeah, I think he's got to go into that cluster. He needs those reds open. There's two loose reds, but he'd be unlucky not to be on one here. Well, you've got to get into the cue ball, and he didn't do that. So that was a poor shot, that,
46.
from Mark. Needs to get a lot more backspin on it. Backspin took, but too late. Can still pot this, but it should have been easier.
That was just overstretching there.
46.
Didn't help the situation. And when you've got the ball situated like that, you always like to score enough to win the frame. He needs the yellow to come to his rescue, and that little flick tells me that Mark Selby can get through to pot the red. So he's immediately straight back in again.
Yeah, and considering how close Mark was to the balls there, he'd be very disappointed he didn't spot that that red was going to go across the table and over the corner pocket. You can't afford those careless mistakes at this level. It's going to cost you frames more times than not.
Very nicely played that. Dead weight just to drop on the pink. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, John. Mark Allen should have worked out where the reds were going to go when he played that safety shot.
7.
I mean, that's a plant. Those two reds are a plant, so there was nowhere else for this one to go.
8. Keep on.
And that bad safety shot looks as if it's cost him this frame, and he's going to fall 3-0 behind. So he's got a lot to do, as Mark needs to get himself together. He's going to need another little 15. Cannon here just to develop another red.
16.
As long as he doesn't stick in the two reds, if he just cannons the left red and hits it half ball, it'll be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways you can play this, though. You can play the shot that you're mentioning, Dennis, or you can play it hard and make certain you do open them up. But he played that in red, and, well, it's not worked out. He's not on the red he played for, but he's still got an alternative. into this corner pocket. Bit thinner than he would have liked. But that's the frame winner. That puts him 70 points in front with only 67 remaining.
He knows this frame's gone, but that was a lovely split there when he cannoned into them.
28.
So he's starting to look pretty comfortable out there, Mark Selby. Their match last year at the quarter-final stage was a last frame decider. Mark won 6-5. Young Mark Allen's going to have to get going in the next frame. He could do with that frame and go 55. To the mid-session interval 3-1 behind rather than 4-0.
$36. $43. 44. 51. 52. 58. 59. 66. 68.
This has been a terrific clearance. Started off with a break of 46.
$71.
Not enough there to score a century.
$75. 80. 86.
'Yeah, you could say the black went in the pocket. He started off with a break of 46 and he cleared up with a magnificent break of 93. And Mark Selby now puts himself 3 frames in front, 3-0.
Thank you. Frame 4. Mark Allen to break.
Last frame before the mid-session interval, and a frame that you feel that Mark Allen badly needs. Oh, he's got a good length with the cue ball, but he's one of those break-off shots that he's not brought many out, so you'd be surprised if Mark Selby was to leave anything here. I'm surprised he's playing this red, to be honest with you. I thought he may have come off a cushion. Oh, well, he could hit it thin enough. If he misses the green, it's an excellent shot. Well, just even the flick makes it even better.
You just tapped the table there, Mark Allen, to acknowledge that good safety. This may go in the left corner pocket. He'll be playing the safety shot, but might slip past the bunch. Yeah, he's going to be good here, looking at the pace of this. Another inch would have been ideal. Don't think you can see enough of that red to go down the right side of the table, but
Single.
Well, no, it was a sort of half-answered attempt at the pot, but he'll be pleased with the result, hampered as he is. It's as good as a snooker, so just coming off this, needs a lot of side, wants to avoid that pink. Played it nicely, surely touching ball.
Jingle.
Touching ball, says Michaela. I always felt with this type of shot, Dennis, if you had a touching ball, I'd like to try and get it nestled behind the colour rather than... Well, I suppose that line covers half the reds.
I suppose the only thing these days, if you don't get it in behind the colour and misjudge it slightly, and there's a sort of a red out, you know, they're such good long potters.
Well, yes. Maybe sometimes you prefer them to be able to hit them because there may be a chance here that Mark Selby could leave one over the corner. Oh. I thought for a moment he fluked one. But that's the problem, he's let him hit the reds, and that is an excellent safety. Terrific length with the cue ball. And there's a bit of pressure on this one now to get this back to that baulk cushion.
Yeah, you'd have to say that Mark Selby was the better safety player. Mark Allen probably more aggressive than Mark Selby, so maybe Mark does have a game plan, because at the moment Mark Allen hasn't had a chance in amongst the balls. So he's going to somehow have to